Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshulamitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing a discussion from Antya Lila, chapter number 13, titled Pastimes with Jagadananda and Raghunath Bhattacharya. So currently Jagadananda Pandit, with the permission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he has left Jagannath Puri and now he is going on pilgrimage to Vrindavan. And along the way he passes through Varanasi, where he meets Mahaprabhu's closest devotees, Tapan Mishra, Chandrasekharacharya. And then after Varanasi he continues on, and now he has just arrived in Mathura, where he meets Srila Sanatan Goswami. So Mahaprabhu had instructed Jagadananda Pandit that when you go to Vrindavan, go meet up with Sanatan Goswami and don't leave Sanatan Goswami's association for even a single moment. As long as you are there in Vrindavan Dham, stay very closely with Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami will take care of you, and don't go astray, don't go anywhere else. So this is text number 44. Finally, Jagadananda Pandit reached Mathura, where he met Sanatan Goswami. They were very pleased to see each other. After Sanatan Goswami had taken Jagadananda to see all 12 forests of Vrindavan, concluding with Mahavan, the two of them remained in Gokul. So Sanatan Goswami, under the instructions of Mahaprabhu, he was staying in Vrindavan, and most of his life he spent in doing bhajan in Vrindavan, in writing books, establishing the deity worship for Radhan Madan Mohanji. And it's mentioned that Sanatan Goswami, every day he used to do Govardhan Parikrama. That was one of the vows he had taken. So anyone who's gone to Vrindavan, they know that it takes maybe 4 to 5 hours to do full Parikrama of Govardhan Hill. And Sanatan Goswami, he was every day doing this parikrama, even all the way up to his old age. So even when he became very old, like 70, 80 years old, still, even at such an advanced age, he was still trying to stick to his vow and still trying to do Govardhan Parikrama. And Krishna, he couldn't bear to see his devotee taking so many austerities, old man, 80-year-old body, still, with great difficulty doing parikrama every day, walking 4 or 5 hours every day. So in his very advanced age, it was very difficult for him to maintain the vow, but still he was determined, some or other he was doing. And Krishna, he couldn't bear it, so one day, at this time, Srila Sanatan Goswami, he was living near Manasi Ganga. So near Manasi Ganga, there is a place where Lord Shiva resides. It's called Chakleshwara Linga. It's one of the 4 deities of Lord Shiva that guard the Vrajadham. And he was established by Vrajanath, one of Krishna's grandsons. So near Manasi Ganga, there's this temple of Chakleshwara Mahadev, a famous Shila of Lord Shiva. And he's known as one of the protectors of Vrindavan Dham. And there's a nice pastime of Manasi Ganga also. Manasi Ganga means, Manasi means mental. So the Ganga that has come out from the mind. So if you remember in Krishna book, there is the pastime of Vatsasura. So Vatsa refers to a baby calf or baby cow or a calf. So one time a demon, he comes in the form of a calf or a baby cow, and he blends in with the other calves that Krishna and the cowherd boys are playing with. And then Krishna and Balram, they figure out that this calf is actually a demon named Vatsasura. And Krishna and Balram, they kill that demon. So after Krishna, he kills this demon called Vatsasura, the cowherd boys, they get on Krishna's case and they tell Krishna that you've just killed a cow, you've just killed a calf. For this, you have to repent so much. You get so much unlimited sins. You're contaminated. We can't play with you anymore. We've done so much sin by killing this calf. And then Krishna explains, he was just disguised as a calf, but actually he was a demon, But still the Kahut boys, they didn't agree. They said, no, doesn't matter whether it was demon or what. Still, he was a calf. And because you killed a calf, you have to do some kind of prayaschitta. You have to take bath in Ganga. Only if you take bath in Ganga can you purify yourself of all these sins. Then Krishna says, okay. Then just from his mind, Krishna, he creates Manasi Ganga. And it's mentioned this Manasi Ganga is non-different from Mother Ganga. In fact, it's said that all the great sacred waters, they all reside in Manasi Ganga. So near this Manasi Ganga, Srila Sanatan Goswami, in his advanced age, he used to stay in that place. And he had his bhajan kutir there. But there was one problem. As he was staying in his bhajan kutir near Manasi Ganga, there were a lot of mosquitoes that used to disturb him. And he was trying to write under Mahaprabhu's instructions, the Shastras, but the mosquitoes used to disturb him at night when he was writing the Shastras. Because the Goswamis, they would only sleep for 1 or 2 hours every night. So even late at night, when everything was dark, when the mosquitoes come out, he was still up writing, just like Srila Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was in India, Vrindavan, Prabhupada would instruct his servants that as soon as the sun rises and as soon as the sun starts coming in through the window, you can open the windows. And as soon as the sun is about to set, immediately close the windows, because that is the time when the mosquitoes come. Otherwise, during the daytime, during bright sunlight, the mosquitoes, they won't come into the room. So it's only when it starts getting dark, that is the time when all the mosquitoes, they will come into the house and bite. And Srila Sanatan Goswami, he didn't sleep at night, only 1-2 hours. So even at night, he was writing. And that's when all the mosquitoes used to come, and they used to bite him. So at one time, he was feeling so disturbed by these mosquitoes that he just thought, this place is not suitable for my service. I need to change location, go somewhere else, because it's disturbing my service to the Supreme Lord. So then he makes up his mind and he wants to leave. At that time, Lord Shiva, he comes in disguise and he appeals to Sanatan Goswami that no, please don't go, please stay here. Don't worry, just stay one more night and see. And from that day onwards, that place has no more mosquitoes. Mosquitoes don't come, they just go away. So Lord Shiva, he resides there in Manasi Ganga as Chakleshwar Mahadev. And it's mentioned that Lord Shiva, he very much liked to have Sanatan Goswami's association. And he didn't want Sanatan Goswami to leave. Because, he's one of the Manjaris coming from the spiritual, such a great advanced devotee. So because he didn't want to miss out on Sanatan Goswami's association, Lord Shiva, Radha Maharaj explains that Lord Shiva, he contacts the demigod in charge of the insects and bugs, and he asks that demigod, please make sure no more mosquitoes that come in this area and disturb Sanatan Goswami. So in this way, Sanatan Goswami, he was such a great advanced devotee of the Lord that even Lord Shiva, he desired Sanatan Goswami's association. And later on, in his advanced age, when he couldn't, or when he was struggling to do Govardhan Parikrama, it is mentioned that Krishna himself comes in disguise as a little boy and appeals to Sanatan Goswami that, it's at this age, you don't have to do this. And Sanatan Goswami replies, no, I've taken a vow. I must do this. I must, stay strong to my vow. I've made this promise that every day I'll do Govardhan Parikrama. And Krishna, he couldn't bear to see Sanatan Goswami doing Parikrama like this. So then what Krishna does, he climbs on top of Govardhan hill and he goes on top of one of the stones or the shilas and he melts his footprint onto one of the shilas of Govardhan. Then he brings that Govardhan shila to Sanatan Goswami, which has his own footprints, and he gives it to Sanatan Goswami. He says, okay, this is shila from Govardhan hill. This shila is non-different from me, and it even has my footprints imprinted on it. Instead of doing full parikrama of Govardhan hill, you just do parikrama of this Govardhan shila, and that will be equal to you doing full parikrama. Then Sanatan Goswami submits, and from that day onwards, in his advanced age, Sanatan Goswami just used to do parikrama around that Govardhan shila. He would go around it 4 times. And that shila, I think, is still there in Vrindavan. When we do Govardhan parikrama, we can still see that. So Sanatan Goswami is no ordinary personality. He's a very great advanced devotee of the Lord. And that's why Mahaprabhu told him, Jagadananda Pandit, that when you go to Vrindavan, you just stay with Sanatan Goswami. He'll take care of you. He knows everything. He will take you around, he'll take care of all your facilities. You just stick with him, you don't go anywhere else. You'll be in safe hands with Sanatan Goswami. They stayed in Sanatan Goswami's cave, but Jagadananda Pandit would go to a nearby temple and cook for himself. Sanatan Goswami would beg alms from door to door in the vicinity of Mahavan. Sometimes he would go to a temple and sometimes to a Brahmana's house. Sanatan Goswami attended to all of Jagadananda Pandit's needs. He begged in the area of Mahavan and brought Jagadananda all kinds of things to eat and drink. So at this time it's mentioned, when Jagadananda Pandit came, Sanatan Goswami, he was staying in a cave. But he would always change his location. It's not that he was camped in one location. In his old age, he was situated in Manisiganga, but before that he would, every day he would change location and stay in a different place. Prabhupada explains the Goswamis, every day they would sleep under a different tree. So that's how detached they were. They wouldn't even camp under one tree. Every day they would travel and sleep under a different tree. And one morning walk, Prabhupada explains why Goswamis used to sleep under trees. Prabhupada explains, one time Prabhupada was in New York and he was going on a morning walk and it was winter, so snow was coming. And there was like a little pond in the park in New York and the whole pond was frozen, all the water in the pond. And Prabhupada was walking with his walking stick, and then when Prabhupada comes, there's a little puddle of water, and the puddle of water is frozen. And then Prabhupada goes close to a tree, and over there the water is not frozen. And Prabhupada tells the devotees that the unique quality of trees is such that during winter, the trees will give warmth. So during winter time, if you go close to a tree trunk and you just sit under a tree, you'll find under the tree, directly under the tree, it will be warmer than elsewhere. And Prabhupada says during summertime, the opposite effect will be there. During summertime, under the shade of a tree, it will be very cooling. And Prabhupada explains the Goswamis, they knew this science, that during summer, under a tree is very cooling, and during winter, under the tree is very warm. So that's why the Goswamis, they used to take shelter of trees. And they didn't want to get attached to a particular tree, so every day they would change their location. Every day they would change accommodation and they would travel and stay under a different tree. In this particular case, at this time, Sanatan Goswami, he's staying in a particular cave, and Jagadananda Pandit, he joins him. And Sanatan Goswami, he was very strict in terms of his diet. He just used to eat very little bit. He would just beg, a few dried chickpeas or some dried roti, and he would just subsist on that. But Jagadananda Pandit, he's coming from Jagannath Puri, which is famous for, prasadam and big feasts. So he's not used to living such following such austerities. In Jagannath Puri, every day they have a nice big feast. They get so much nice Mahaprasad of Lord Jagannath. So Sanatan Goswami, he understands this, and he doesn't want Jagadananda Pandit to also go through the same austerities that he's going through. So every day, Sanatan Goswami used to go and beg alms from different householders. And whatever fruits, vegetables, grains he would collect, he would come and offer to Jagadananda Pandit. And then using all those grains or fruits and vegetables that Sanatan Goswami collected, Jagadananda Pandit, near the cave where they were staying, there was one temple of the Lord. And Jagadananda Pandit, he would carry those ingredients, those bhoga, into the nearby temple. And in the temple, Jagadananda Pandit, he used to cook for himself and take prasad. So in this way, Sanatan Goswami, he took very nice care of Jagadananda Pandit. One of the unique qualities of Sanatan Goswami, highlighted by our acharyas, is how he had such a great ability to connect with different people, and how he was so much loved by all the Vrajvasis. Like you might have heard of the famous festival called Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is the day when all the Vrajvasis, they celebrate or they honor Srila Sanatan Goswami. Even till this day, all the Vrajvasis, they accept Srila Sanatan Goswami as their guru or as their spiritual master. So it's mentioned, back then, Sanatan Goswami, he would travel different towns and villages. Every day he would travel. And in his travels, he would go to different towns and he would meet different Vrajvasis. And whichever town or village he would go into, the people in that town and village, they would get so much attached to Sanatan Goswami that when Sanatan Goswami would leave that town, they would all start shedding tears of separation. And when Sanatan Goswami will arrive at a particular town, it's mentioned, out of happiness they used to cry, that finally, Sanatan Goswami has come into our town. He was so much loved by all the Vrajvasis. For some, he was like a very fatherly figure. For some, senior Vrajvasis, he was like their son. For others, he was like a friendly figure or a fatherly figure. And he used to be very, very personal when it comes to associating with the Vrajvasis. It's not like, he was, okay, I'm just a sannyasi, I'm a Paramahamsa, I will just talk only Shastra, I will only talk philosophy, I won't talk anything else. But it's mentioned he was actually very personal and very down to earth with the Vrajvasis. When he would meet Vrajvasis who were doing farming, he would inquire from them, how's the farming going? How are the crops going this year? Did you get enough rain? Or he'll ask, how many cows do you have? Are you getting enough milk? Sometimes he'll inquire, how are the children doing? I heard you had a new child, how's he going? How's the education? I heard your daughter got married recently, did everything go well? Like this, he was very personal with all the Vrajvasis. And he developed very deep relationships and bonds with all the Vrajvasis. And he was so much loved that it's explained that when Sanatan Goswami will enter a town or enter someone's village, all the Vrajvasis, they will cry out of happiness that, Sanatan Goswami, our guru, or our best friend, or our son, or our father has come. Finally we'll get his association for a day or two. So out of great happiness, they used to cry out of ecstasy. Then Sanatan Goswami will stay with them for 1-2 days, and then it will be time for him to leave. When he would leave, again, all the Vrajvasis in that particular town, again, they will start crying. This time, crying out of separation. So in this way, it's explained by the Acharyas. Sanatan Goswami, every day, he just used to make devotees cry. Either make them cry out of happiness for getting his association, or make them cry because he had to leave them, and devotees would cry out of separation. So in this way, he spent his whole life making devotees cry. That's how attached all the Vrajvasis were to Srila Sanatan Goswami. Any problems they had in their life, they would immediately come to Sanatan Goswami. He was like the fatherly figure or the guru for all the Vrajvasis. Any problem, personal issue they had, they would openly come to Sanatan Goswami and put the problem at his lotus feet and ask him, for solution. And he was so much loved and very dear to all the Vrajvasis. So that same love and care we're seeing now, displayed by Sanatan Goswami to Jagadananda Pandit. So for himself, he's just happy with, few dried chickpeas, dried roti. But he understands, Jagadananda Pandit, he needs proper prasad. So for Jagadananda Pandit, he goes out and he begs fruits, vegetables, grains, and he collects enough bhoga, then he gives it to Jagadananda Pandit. Then Jagadananda Pandit, he goes to a nearby temple and he cooks prasad for himself. So in this way, they used to live together. Sanatan Goswami would beg alms from door to door in the vicinity of Mahavan. So Mahavan is one of the 12 forests of Vrindavan, and it's in Mahavan where Krishna, he killed Putana, and also Sakatasura was also killed there in this forest. Sometimes he would go to a temple and sometimes to a Brahmana's house. Sanatan Goswami attended to all of Jagadananda Pandit's needs. He begged in the area of Mahavan and brought Jagadananda all kinds of things to eat and drink. So just for the sake of Jagadananda Pandit, Sanatan Goswami, every day he would go out begging and collect many, many different things for Jagadananda Pandit to eat and drink. One day, Jagadananda Pandit, having invited Sanatan Goswami to the nearby temple for lunch, finished his routine duties and began to cook. Previously, a great sannyasi named Mukunda Saraswati had given Sanatan Goswami an outer garment. Sanatan Goswami was wearing this cloth bound about his head when he came to Jagadananda Pandit's door and sat down. Assuming the reddish cloth to be a gift from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagadananda Pandit was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. Thus he questioned Sanatan Goswami. "Where did you get that reddish cloth on your head?" Jagadananda asked. Sanatan Goswami replied, "Mukunda Saraswati gave it to me." Hearing this, Jagadananda Pandit immediately became very angry and took a cooking pot in his hand, intending to beat Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, however, knew Jagadananda Pandit very well and was consequently somewhat ashamed. Jagadananda therefore left the cooking pot on the stove and spoke as follows. "You are one of the chief associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Indeed, no one is dearer to him than you. Still you have bound your head with a cloth given to you by another sannyasi. Who can tolerate such behavior?" So one time what happened, Jagadananda Pandit, he was cooking prasad in the nearby temple. He was cooking lunch and he invites Sanatan Goswami that, "Today you also come for lunch, I'll serve you prasad also." So Sanatan Goswami, he comes to the temple for lunch, and previously Sanatan Goswami, he had met a sannyasi named Mukunda Saraswati. And this sannyasi, he had given one of his cloth to Sanatan Goswami as a gift. So this was like Mahaprasad of a great sannyasi. Just like Maharajas sometimes as a gift, they would give something as Mahaprasad to one of their disciples or devotees. So this sannyasi Mukunda Saraswati, one of his outer garments, he had given as a gift as Mahaprasad to Sanatan Goswami. And Sanatan Goswami, he took it, okay, this is the Mahaprasad of a great sannyasi. And to honor the Mahaprasad, Sanatan Goswami, he tied it around his head as Mahaprasad. Just like sometimes during festival times we have Abhishek, and the cloth that Sri Radha Gopinath they wear during Abhishek or Gaur Nitai wear during Abhishek, it's torn into, after the Abhishek it's torn into different pieces of string, and then those devotees who are fortunate, they get to wear it around their wrist, as Mahaprasad of Gaur Nitai or Radha Gopinath. So in the same way, Sanatan Goswami, he was wearing this cloth of this sannyasi around his head as Mahaprasad. And he was saffron in color. So he's coming for prasad, and Jagadananda Pandit, he sees he's wearing, Sanatan Goswami, he's wearing this saffron cloth around his head. And Jagadananda Pandit, he thinks that this must be Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Definitely when Sanatan Goswami was in Jagannath Puri, he must have got this cloth as the Mahaprasad of Mahaprabhu, and that's why he's wearing it around his head. So Jagadananda, when he sees this, he becomes pleased that, how nicely Sanatan Goswami is respecting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's wearing his Mahaprasad on his head. So then he inquires, this cloth you're wearing around your head, it must be the Mahaprasad of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like this he inquires. And then Sanatan Goswami tells him that, no, actually, this isn't Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, this is another sannyasi's whose name is Mukunda Saraswati. He had given it to me, and I am wearing it around my head. When Jagadananda, he hears this, he becomes so angry. He had a cooking pot next to him, full of sabji, and immediately he takes that cooking pot and is ready to hit Sanatan Goswami with that pot of prasad. And then Sanatan Goswami, when he sees this, he becomes ashamed of himself. And seeing Sanatan Goswami taken aback, ashamed of himself, then Jagadananda Pandit, he checks himself and puts the pot down. And then Jagadananda, he angrily instructs Sanatan Goswami that, you are one of the most dear servants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have given your life and soul to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How can you dare to wear any other sannyasi's Mahaprasad on your head? You should only wear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Mahaprasad. You should give your full loyalty to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He has given you shelter. He has given you everything. He has done everything for you in this life. Instead of wearing his Mahaprasad, how can you wear someone else's Mahaprasad? This isn't appropriate. Like this, Jagadananda Pandit, he instructs Sanatan Goswami. So again, we should understand, Jagadananda Pandit, he is no ordinary person. He is Satyabhama in the spiritual world, or in Krishna Lila. So like this, he is instructing Sanatan Goswami. And now we'll see Sanatan Goswami, he is very thankful for this correction and this instruction by Jagadananda Pandit. So we have to be also careful that, The only reason we're in devotional service, we're in bhakti, is because of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. If Srila Prabhupada hadn't come to the West, Srila Prabhupada hadn't written these books, if Srila Prabhupada hadn't established these temples, of ISKCON, there's no chance we would have come in contact, with bhakti or Krishna consciousness. Very little chance. It is only because of Prabhupada's mercy we're all practicing bhakti. So just like Sanatan Goswami, he has that indebtedness to Mahaprabhu. He has to show that loyalty to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the same way, we're indebted to Srila Prabhupada and we have to be loyal to Srila Prabhupada. We should never leave Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet. Like His Holiness Bhakti Charumaraj, when he was present with us, he used to always say that no matter whatever happens, never leave ISKCON. ISKCON, Prabhupada said, ISKCON is like my body. And BBT is like my heart. Like that Prabhupada used to say. So in this way, Bhakti Charumaraj, he explains that, no matter whatever happens, we might go through this difficulty, that difficulty, never leave ISKCON. Always stay close to Srila Prabhupada's lotus feet, continue serving Srila Prabhupada. Because only by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have gotten everything. Same way we're indebted to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. They're giving us so much mercy, so many opportunities to serve them, or sadhu sangha, all the different things we've got in a spiritual life, all by the blessings of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. So just like Jagadananda, he's instructing Sanatan Goswami that you should show your loyalty to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and not wear some other sannyasis, Mahaprasad. You should only go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the same way, we should stay loyal to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath and Srila Prabhupada. Okay, now we'll hear Sanatan Goswami's reply. Sanatan Goswami said, "My dear Jagadananda Pandit, you are a greatly learned saint. No one is dearer to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu than you. This faith in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quite befits you. Unless you demonstrate it, how could I learn such faith? My purpose in binding my head with the cloth has now been fulfilled because I have personally seen your uncommon love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This saffron cloth is unfit for a Vaishnava to wear, therefore I have no use for it. I shall give it to a stranger." So Sanatan Goswami, he was very thankful for the chastisement and the instruction. That thank you very much. Today, because of your chastisement, I was able to witness, how much faith you have in Mahaprabhu, how much love and deep attachment you have for the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sanatan Goswami, he was very appreciative. When Jagadananda Pandit finished cooking, he offered the food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then he and Sanatan Goswami sat down and ate the prasadam. After eating the prasadam, they embraced each other and cried due to separation from Lord Chaitanya. They passed 2 months in Vrindavan in this way. Finally, they could no longer tolerate the unhappiness of separation from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jagadananda Pandit therefore gave Sanatan Goswami the message from the Lord, "I am also coming to Vrindavan. Please arrange a place for me to stay." When Sanatan Goswami granted permission for Jagadananda to return to Jagannath Puri, he gave Jagadananda some gifts for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The gifts consisted of some sand from the site of the Rasa Leela, a stone from Govardhan Hill, dried ripened pilu fruits, and a garland of small conch shells. So in this way, they passed 2 months together in Vrindavan. Then after 2 months, Jagadananda Pandit, he couldn't bear separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu any longer. And he wanted to leave and go back to Jagannath Puri. But again, as we were saying, he follows the proper etiquette. Before he leaves, he begs permission from Sanatan Goswami that, I want to go back to Jagannath Puri. I'm missing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Can you please give me permission to leave? Like this, he takes Sanatan Goswami's blessings and permission, and now he's going to depart to Jagannath Puri. He's going to go back to Jagannath Puri. But before he leaves, Sanatan Goswami gives Jagadananda Pandit 4 gifts which he wants Jagadananda Pandit to offer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So as we learn in Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami explains that one of the 6 loving exchanges amongst devotees is to give gifts in charity and to accept gifts in charity. So these are 2 of the loving exchanges amongst devotees. The other 4 are revealing one's mind in confidence, hearing another devotee out, and offering prasad, and accepting prasad from another Vaishnava. So these are 6 loving exchanges amongst devotees, and if we do any one of these or more, then we can establish very loving relationships and bonds amongst each other. So this way, Sanatan Goswami, he is offering 4 gifts to be given to Mahaprabhu. So one is, he's given some sand or dust from the place where Rasa Leela took place, from the Rasa Stali. So even that place we can still go and see now when we go in Parikrama and Vrindavan. So that's the first gift, sand from the Rasa Stali. Second gift, he gives a Govardhan Shila to be gifted to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Third gift, he gives some dried pilu fruits. And the fourth gift, he gives a garland of small conch shells. So Jagadananda Pandit, he's going to carry these 4 gifts and offer to Mahaprabhu. Thus Jagadananda Pandit, bearing all these gifts, started on his journey. Sanatan Goswami, however, was very much agitated after bidding him farewell. Soon after, Sanatan Goswami selected a place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could stay while in Vrindavan. It was a temple in the highlands named Dwadasa Ditya Tila. Sanatan Goswami kept the temple very clean and in good repair. In front of it, he erected a small hut. Meanwhile, traveling very quickly, Jagannath Pandit soon arrived in Jagannath Puri, much to the joy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. After offering prayers at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jagadananda Pandit greeted everyone. Then the Lord embraced Jagadananda very strongly. Jagadananda Pandit offered obeisances to the Lord on behalf of Sanatan Goswami. Then he gave the Lord the dust from the site of the rasa dance along with the other gifts. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept all the gifts except the pilu fruits, which he distributed to the devotees. Because the fruits were from Vrindavan, everyone ate them with great happiness. Those devotees who were familiar with pilu fruits sucked on the seeds, but the Bengali devotees who did not know what they were chewing chewed the seeds and swallowed them. The hot chili-like taste burned the tongues of those who chewed the seeds. Thus the eating of pilu fruits from Vrindavan became a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. So one of the things he had given as a gift was these special pilu fruits from Vrindavan. Just like whenever devotees, they go to a dham, they always buy some Mahaprasad to bring back to Sydney, and to distribute amongst the Vaishnavas. That Prabhuji, Madhaji, I have some Mahaprasadam from Vrindavan or Mayapur, please accept. So in this way, the other Vaishnavas will also be happy and pleased. So in the same way, Jagadananda Pandit, under Sanatan Goswami instructions, he brings some prasad from Vrindavan. And this prasad is a special fruit called pilu fruits. And the unique quality of these fruits is that the seeds of these fruits, if one chews them, it will just be like hot chili. If someone bites on these seeds, it will be like chili exploding in your mouth. So instead of biting on it, one is supposed to just suck on these seeds. So some of the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they knew, the details of this fruit, so they didn't bite the seeds. But others who didn't know, they just started biting all the fruit. The outside tasted nice, then they just started biting the seed also. But once they started biting the seed, it was like chili in their mouth, and then it's mentioned here, it became a famous pastime of Mahaprabhu. The hot chili-like taste buds, the hot chili-like taste burned the tongues of those who chewed the seeds. Thus the eating of pilu fruits from Vrindavan became a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's. When Jagadananda Pandit returned from Vrindavan, everyone was jubilant. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed his pastimes while residing at Jagannath Puri. One day when the Lord was going to the temple of Yameshwara, a female singer began to sing in the Jagannath temple. She sang a Gujari tune in a very sweet voice and became the subject, and because the subject was Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda, the song attracted the attention of the entire world. Hearing the song from a distance, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately became ecstatic. He did not know whether it was a man or a woman singing. As the Lord ran in ecstasy to meet the singer, thorny hedges pricked his body. Govinda ran very quickly behind the Lord, who did not feel any pain from the pricking of the thorns. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running very rapidly, and the girl was only a short distance away. Just then, Govinda caught the Lord in his arms and cried, "It is a woman singing." As soon as he heard the word woman, the Lord became externally conscious and turned back. "My dear Govinda," he said, "you have saved my life. If I had touched the body of a woman, I would certainly have died. I shall never be able to repay my debt to you." Govinda replied, "Lord Jagannath has saved you. I am insignificant." So one day what happened? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he hears the singing of a female singer singing in the Jagannath temple. And this Mataji, she is singing no ordinary song. She is singing the famous song called Gita Govinda, written by Jayadev Goswami. So back then, I'm not sure if it's still continuing now, back then it was the custom that every night there would be some singers who would sing Gita Govinda for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath, he would take rest by hearing Gita Govinda. So late at night, there will be some particular devotees assigned to sing this song for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. Because Lord Jagannath, he really likes hearing this song. So one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he hears this song being sung by a Mataji very nicely, coming from Lord Jagannath's temple. And when Mahaprabhu, he hears the lyrics of this song, because this song talks about very confidential truths of Krishna and Radharani's pastimes. For example, there's one famous pastime. It's mentioned that as Jayadev Goswami, he was writing this book or this song, Gita Govinda. He was writing and then he gets a vision or kind of like a dream, wherein he sees Krishna submitting himself at the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So he gets that vision or that dream. And as soon as he sees this dream or this vision, he immediately snaps out and then he starts condemning himself that, what have I seen, How can the Supreme Lord Krishna bow down at Srimati Radharani's lotus feet? This shouldn't happen. This is not supposed to happen. And he starts condemning himself that, I have committed a big sin thinking of something like this. This is not appropriate. This is not according to Shastra. Nowhere in the Shastra is it written that, Krishna, he touches, the lotus feet of someone else. He is the Lord and Master. Everyone is supposed to touch his lotus feet. So he thinks that he has done something wrong. And in Vedic culture, whenever someone does something which is sinful, or whenever someone does something which is considered as contaminating, the way they would rectify that is that they would immediately run to a nearby holy place of pilgrimage and take bath in there. In this way, they would purify themselves. So whenever someone would somehow or other become contaminated, immediately they would run off either to Ganga, Yamuna, or some other holy place of pilgrimage, or some holy waters nearby and take bath. In this way, they would purify themselves. So Jayadev Goswami, he was thinking that he was contaminated for thinking of such a thing, of Krishna touching Radharani's lotus feet. So he thought, I've thought of something very bad, this isn't proper. I need to purify myself, of this contamination. So immediately, as soon as that thought comes, he was writing the book, and this dream came, this thought came. Then immediately he left the house and he went to the Ganga to take bath. And he told his wife, okay, I'm going to take bath, I'll be back soon. So he goes to the Ganga, takes bath. While he has left his house, Krishna, he comes in disguise, taking the exact form as Jayadev Goswami. So his wife sees Krishna disguised as Jayadev Goswami entering the house, and his wife says, "Oh, you've returned very quickly from your bath in the Ganga." And Krishna, disguised as Jayadev Goswami, says, "Yes, yes." And then he immediately comes to the room where Jayadev Goswami was writing his book, and he picks up Jayadev Goswami's pen, and then he composes with the exact same handwriting of Jayadev Goswami. So every devotee has his own handwriting, and Krishna perfectly imitates the exact handwriting of Jayadev Goswami, and he personally composes a verse wherein Krishna himself writes that, yes, I actually touched the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Then he leaves. Then Jayadev Goswami, the real Jayadev Goswami, he comes And he sits down to continue to write, and he's seeing that a new verse has been written in the song. And this new verse has been written in the exact same handwriting of his. And this new verse is, whatever he saw in his dream is there on paper. Then he understands that this is Krishna himself has come and written. So this pastime is actually true. It's not something that is bad. So in this way, this song of Gita Govinda, it discusses very confidential, very intimate pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And it's very dear to Lord Jagannath. So every night, certain devotees, they would be assigned to sing this song for Lord Jagannath. So one day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he happens to hear this song being recited very nicely. And as Mahaprabhu is hearing the lyrics of this song, he goes transfers into ecstasy. And out of ecstasy, he loses external consciousness, and he's just there in internal consciousness, and then he starts running after the source where this song is coming from, out of ecstasy. And then he starts running. And he doesn't realize that it's a Mataji who is singing. Because he's a sannyasi, he shouldn't have any contact with Matajis. So because he has lost external consciousness out of ecstasy, Mahaprabhu, he starts running towards the place where this Mataji is singing Gita Govinda. And then Govinda, he understands what's happening. Govinda starts running behind Mahaprabhu and then finally catches Mahaprabhu and then tells Mahaprabhu that, it's a Mataji singing, please don't go. Then Mahaprabhu immediately, he snaps out of his ecstasy, then he thanks Govinda. Thank you, today you saved me. If I had gone ahead, who knows what would have happened. So, and then he tells Govinda that please, always stay with me, never leave me, Out of my madness, I can do anything. So you please always be with me and protect me. I shall never be able to repay my debt to you. Govinda replied, Lord Jagannath has saved you. I am insignificant. So Govinda is very humble about it. He says, actually it was Jagannath who saved you. I am just insignificant servant of yours. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, my dear Govinda, you should stay with me always. There is danger anywhere and everywhere. Therefore, you should protect me very carefully. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned home. When Swarup Damodar Goswami and his other attendants heard about the incident, they became very much afraid. During this time, Raghunath Bhattacharya, the son of Tapan Mishra, gave up all his duties and left home, intending to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So now we're going to hear about Raghunath Bhattacharya, or Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. So previously we were talking about Tapan Mishra, so in Varanasi, or Benares, which is kind of like the headquarters of all the Mayavadis or impersonalists, there was one great devotee of Mahaprabhu, his name was Tapan Mishra. And Tapan Mishra's son was Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And only by the order of Mahaprabhu was Tapan Mishra staying in Varanasi. So someone might ask, why is a Vaishnava like Tapan Mishra staying in Varanasi, where only Mayavadis live? A Vaishnava, he would naturally stay in a place where there is other Vaishnavas. Why is he going and staying in Varanasi where it's just Mayavadis everywhere? So previously what had happened, Tapan Mishra, he had met Mahaprabhu. When Mahaprabhu was in his teenage years, early teenage years, one time he had gone on pilgrimage to East Bengal, which is Bangladesh now. So while Mahaprabhu was in Bangladesh, he meets Tapan Mishra. And he blesses Tapan Mishra, he instructs him. And Tapan Mishra gets very attached to Mahaprabhu and he wants to come back to Navadvip with Mahaprabhu. But Mahaprabhu instructs him, no. Instead, you go and you stay in Varanasi. And this was a very shocking instruction by Mahaprabhu. Because at that time, as we were saying, Varanasi was just full of Mayavadis. There wasn't a single devotee of Krishna there in Varanasi. There was one devotee, his name was Chandrasekhara Acharya. So he was like the only devotee who was living in Varanasi. Otherwise, the rest of the whole city was just full of non-devotees, full of Mayavadis. So it was a very different instruction. And one would think, why is Mahaprabhu instructing Tapan Mishra to go and stay in such a place where there is no sadhu sangha, where there's no devotees? So Mahaprabhu, he sent him there for a particular purpose. So sometimes the spiritual master, for the sake of preaching, for the sake of pushing forward the movement, expanding movement, will send us to different locations where there might not be devotees. Like in the early days, when Prabhupada was starting the movement, Prabhupada, devotees, they share this pastime. There was like a globe. You know how you have a globe and you can spin the globe? So Prabhupada had like one world globe on his desk. And Prabhupada would just do like this and spin the globe. And the globe will circle, around, rotate. And then Prabhupada would just go like this and stop the globe. And wherever Prabhupada's finger landed, Prabhupada would instruct, okay, Brahmananda, my finger has landed in Europe. Okay, Brahmananda, you go to Europe. Then he would spin the globe again. Then again, he would stop the globe like this. And his finger will land in South America and he would say, okay, Hridananda Maharaj, okay, my finger has landed in South America. Okay, you go to South America and you preach. In this way, Prabhupada would tell different devotees to go to different parts of the world and open centers, make devotees and preach. And back then, as we know, there was no devotees of Krishna in all these places like South America, Europe, so on and so forth, Africa. So devotees of Prabhupada, they pioneered pretty much. Pioneered Krishna Bhakti in South America, Europe, Africa, even in China. So China was assigned to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. One time, Srila Prabhupada, jokingly, Srila Prabhupada and Tamal Krishna, they are having a conversation, and just jokingly, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he mentions to Srila Prabhupada, oh, Srila Prabhupada, you might as well send me to China, like that. Just jokingly he says. And then Prabhupada says, China, yeah, actually that's a good idea. We don't have any devotees preaching in China. Yes, thank you Tamal Krishna for that idea. Yes, you go to China. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj is shocked, like, no, I was just joking. I don't actually want to go to China. And then him and Srila Prabhupada, they had a bit of argument, and then Prabhupada convinced. Prabhupada didn't budge, and Prabhupada said, no, you have to go to China. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he has to go to China, and he started the whole preaching there. And now we can see we have so many devotees coming from China, Hong Kong. So many Chinese devotees are coming out, all due to Tamal Krishna Maharaj's, initial preaching there. And back then it wasn't easy, so many, communist regulations, strictures. Maharaj had to go in coat, suit and tie, and devise different means of, underground preaching. So in the same way, we see 500 years ago, Tapan Mishra, he was one of those devotees whom Mahaprabhu sent out to a city where there was actually no devotees. So Tapan Mishra, he didn't argue with Mahaprabhu, he followed Mahaprabhu's order, and he traveled from East Bengal, he traveled all the way from Bangladesh and went all the way to Varanasi, and the rest of his life he just stayed in Varanasi. And his son was Raghunath Bhattacharya. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left Jagannath Puri to go to Vrindavan, along the route to Vrindavan, Varanasi comes along the way. So as Mahaprabhu is traveling to Vrindavan, he stops over at Varanasi, and while he stops over Varanasi, he spends time with Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhara. So he used to take prasad at Tapan Mishra's house. And during this time, Mahaprabhu spent maybe a month or two in Varanasi, and during this time, Raghunath Bhattacharya, he was just a little boy, he was just like a little child, and he used to come and do different services for Mahaprabhu. So as we all know, Mahaprabhu, as part of his daily schedule, a big portion of his day was just engaged in singing and dancing. A major portion of his day would just be engaged in dancing ecstatically, doing kirtan. So after doing kirtan for 3-4 hours, he would be very tired, he would take rest. So during this time when Mahaprabhu used to take rest, Raghunath Bhattacharya, he used to come and massage Mahaprabhu's lotus feet, his legs, arms, like this. And after Mahaprabhu would take prasadam, Raghunath Bhattacharya, he used to wash all the dishes, clean up. Like this, as a young boy, Raghunath Bhattacharya, he got an opportunity to do many menial services for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like this, he got the blessings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at a very early age. Now Raghunath Bhattacharya, he's grown up into a young man, and now he is he's leaving his father and mother in Varanasi, and he's traveling to Jagannath Puri to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. During this time, Raghunath Bhattacharya, the son of Tapan Mishra, gave up all his duties and left home, intending to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Accompanied by a servant carrying his baggage, Raghunath Bhatta started from Varanasi and traveled along the path leading through Bengal. In Bengal, he met Ramadas Viswas, who belonged to the Kayastha caste. He was one of the king's secretaries. Ramadas Viswas was very learned in all the revealed scriptures. He was a teacher of the famous book Kavya Prakash and was known as an advanced devotee and worshipper of Raghunath, or Lord Ramachandra. So along the way, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, as he's traveling towards Jagannath Puri, he comes across another Vaishnava named Ramadas Viswas, who was a very learned and staunch devotee of Lord Ramachandra. And these two Vaishnavas, they get together and they travel together towards Jagannath Puri. Ramadas had renounced everything and was going to see Lord Jagannath. While traveling, he chanted the holy name of Rama 24 hours a day. When he met Raghunath Bhatta on the way, he took Raghunath's baggage on his head and carried it. Ramadas served Raghunath Bhatta in various ways, even massaging his legs. Raghunath Bhatta felt some hesitation in accepting all this service. "You are a respectable gentleman, a learned scholar, and a great devotee," Raghunath Bhatta said. "Please do not try to serve me. Just come with me in a happy mood." Ramadas replied, "I am a Shudra, a fallen soul. To serve a Brahmana is my duty and religious principle. Therefore, please do not be hesitant. I am your servant, and when I serve you, my heart becomes jubilant." Thus Ramadas carried the baggage of Raghunath Bhatta and served him sincerely. He constantly chanted the holy name of Lord Ramachandra day and night. So this Ramadas, not only was he traveling with Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, but he also personally carried the luggage of Raghunath Bhatta. And Raghunath Bhatta was, denying, how can you carry my luggage, You're such a great scholar, you're such a great devotee, Lord Ramachandra, I should be serving you, you can't do this. And Ramadas, he replies that, no, I'm a fallen soul. I want to serve a great Vaishnava like you and get your blessings, so please allow me to serve you. So in this way, he used to serve Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He was carrying his luggage. He used to massage him at night. And it's mentioned day and night, he was constantly chanting the holy name of Lord Ramachandra. Traveling in this way, Raghunath Bhatta soon arrived at Jagannath Puri. There he met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great delight and fell at his lotus feet. Raghunath Bhatta fell straight as a rod at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then the Lord embraced him, knowing well who he was. Raghunath offered respectful obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on behalf of Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhara, and the Lord also inquired about them. "It is very good that you have come here," the Lord said. "Now go see the lotus-eyed Lord Jagannath. Today you will accept prasadam here at my place." The Lord asked Govinda to arrange for Raghunath Bhatta's accommodations, and then introduced him to all the devotees headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Thus Raghunath Bhatta lived with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continuously for 8 months, and by the Lord's mercy he felt increasing transcendental happiness every day. He would periodically cook rice with various vegetables and invite Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home. Raghunath Bhatta was an expert cook. Whatever he prepared tasted just like nectar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would accept with great satisfaction all the food he prepared. After the Lord was satisfied, Raghunath Bhatta would eat his remnants. When Ramadas Viswas met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord did not show him any special mercy, although this was their first meeting. Within his heart, Ramadas Viswas was an impersonalist who desired to merge into the existence of the Lord, and he was very proud of his learning. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the omniscient Supreme Personal Godhead, he can understand the heart of everyone, and thus he knew all these things. So Raghunath Bhatta Goswami and this great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, Ramadas Viswas, they traveled together. Ramadas Viswas, day and night he's chanting Lord Ramachandra's name. At night time he's massaging Raghunath Bhatta's body, and he's also personally carrying the load and the baggage of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And together they arrive in Jagannath Puri. And when they arrive in Jagannath Puri, they meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Immediately they offer their dandavats, and Mahaprabhu immediately recognizes Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Immediately he picks Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, embraces him, and tells him that you go take darshan of Lord Jagannath, and then you come back to my place, and you can honor Lord Jagannath's prasadam. So like this, Mahaprabhu very affectionately receives Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And next to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is the great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, who is mentioned day and night, non-stop, he's chanting Lord Ramachandra's holy name. Not only that, he's doing menial services for Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, massaging him, carrying his luggage. But Mahaprabhu completely ignores this devotee of Lord Ramachandra and just talks to Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. And this devotee, Ramadas Viswas, he's wondering, why is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not saying anything to me, not even smiling at me, not even looking at me, he's just completely ignoring me. So this is very astonishing, because from the descriptions we've read, it seems like this devotee of Lord Ramachandra, he's a very advanced devotee. It's mentioned day and night, he's just chanting the holy name. He's doing menial services for a great Vaishnava like Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. So one would think Mahaprabhu would also show love and affection, embrace him, show some mercy to him. But Mahaprabhu completely ignores him. The reason why Mahaprabhu ignores this Rama Bhakta is, Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami explains, that although externally, this Ramadas Viswas, externally he was chanting the holy name, although externally he was serving Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, internally actually he was an impersonalist. He was a Mayavadi. He wasn't serving Lord Ramachandra, he wasn't chanting Lord Ram's name for the pleasure of Lord Ramachandra. His mood or his consciousness was, if I keep chanting Lord Rama's holy name, one day I will merge into the body of Lord Ramachandra and I will become Lord Ramachandra. So that was his goal. His goal wasn't to go and become servant of Lord Ramachandra. His goal was to merge into the body of Lord Ramachandra and become God. So that was his mood and that was his intention. And internally he had a lot of pride in being very learned in Ramayana and the Shastras. And he was serving Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, not for the sake of pleasing Krishna, but again for the sake of impersonal liberation, for the sake of merging into the body of the Lord and becoming as good as God, or becoming like God. So Mahaprabhu, he's Antaryami, he's the Paramatma, he could understand that although externally he seems like a great Ram Bhakta, internally his mood is completely different. Internally his mood is actually very offensive. He's actually impersonalist or Mayavadi. So that's why Mahaprabhu, he completely ignores him. So that's why, it's very hard to judge, who is a great devotee, who is not. Sometimes a person who seems like a very great devotee, like in this case, he might, be a Mayavadi. And in other cases, sometimes a person, he doesn't seem like such a great devotee, but actually internally he could be a great Mahabhagavat. So it's very hard to judge persons or devotees just based on the externals. Only when we get very close, we can understand who is a great devotee, who is not. So in this way, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he has now arrived in Jagannath Puri, and we'll hear more about him as the chapter continues. One of the qualities of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is that he was a very great, excellent cook. Whatever he would cook would taste like nectar. So he's especially famous for his cooking. And he's also famous for his recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Mahaprabhu personally instructed him to study Bhagavatam, and Raghunath Bhatta would go on to study Bhagavatam very nicely, and it's mentioned that every verse, Bhagavatam has 18,000 verses. Every day in Bhagavatam class we recite one verse. So usually we'll sing the verse in one particular tune. But Raghunath Das Goswami, he was so expert, it's mentioned that he would recite every verse of Bhagavatam in multiple different tunes. Like 3 tunes, 4 tunes, like this. He would recite each verse of Bhagavatam in different tunes. And not only was he a very expert cook, but he had also a very melodious voice. And he would with a very nice, sweet voice, he would recite verses of Bhagavatam in different tunes. And in this way, he became very learned in studying Bhagavatam and reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. So as the chapter progresses, we'll hear more about him. Okay, we'll stop here. Shri Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai, Jagurusha Prabhupada ki jai.